many see the big lie. Do you see it? Or shall I say the big lies, plural?
And your grace, fearless, ill-organized.
Liars and cheaters, deceivers.
You've betrayed.
Well, I'm here to call them all out, folks. That's what we do here at the WTF Reports. You know why? Because...
To hear the thought that you planned, you won't be trusted anymore.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is Friday, TGIF, the 20th of June, 2025. And as always, I'm here with the audio receipts, and I'm here to say, WTF, what's going on in this world? I tell you, there's just so much subterfuge and so much deception, so much mass manipulation, and we don't know what to believe anymore. Yeah, thanks to the the Obama administration and the NDAA back in 2012, when basically it was made propaganda was made legal here in the United States. So that's why we got so much as if they weren't already propagandizing the American people for a long time before that. But anyway, I'm Dave vonKleist. These are the WTF Reports. And today, I'm going to have open lines today. I got a couple things I want to share with you. But you might scratch down the phone number, 215-867-8255. And I'm going to start off the show today. I'm going to... I've said many times on this broadcast, there's no joy in I told you so for either party. It doesn't make, we conspiracy theorists out there have been screaming from the rooftops for decade after decade after decade. And yes, our cries fell on deaf ears. And now, well, look what we got. You didn't listen to us 20, 30 years ago. You didn't listen to us, 10 years ago. Didn't listen to us. No. But now it's all starting to come out. So my question to you is, what event woke you up? Obviously, if you're listening to this broadcast, you have a question mark over your head. Many people have an exclamation point over their head. They don't want to know because they already know, right? They don't want to know anymore. Okay, but those of us with question marks want to know what the heck is going on here. So I'm curious to find out what it was that woke you up, if you are indeed awake. I don't want to say woke. Woke is, we already know what that is. Anyway, it appears to me that we have an entire system of deception. And it's been that way for a long time. As a matter of fact, I wrote a song about it many, many years ago. As a matter of fact, I think I'll share it with you right now. This song is called Prevail. And I'm sharing it with you simply because, what was this back in 96? This was on the first album, Will Someone Listen? And it seems to be more pertinent today than it was when I wrote it. Here it is. So the question is, what woke you up? What was it that made the light bulb go off over your head?
There's something brewing, people know that things aren't right. We're in the dark, it's black as night. And when the ones who see the truth try to convey, they're ridiculed and turned away. But now it's time for us to see there really is conspiracy. If we don't act, we won't be free. We must be brave or be a slave. I think we all know we've been lied to through the years. Events confirm our darkest fears. And in denial, we still act like nothing's wrong. We work so hard to get along. Manipulate and rearrange. The plan is brilliant and long range. And no one notices It's all been planned.
We can prevail, we can make our freedom last. Forget your history and you'll repeat your past. Search your heart and you'll know that it's true.
It's up to us. What will we do? In 2 Timothy, it's there in chapter 3. It's in the book for all to see. With so much knowledge, yet so distant from the truth, polluting minds of all our youth. It's written in our history. Will not see. It's up to you, it's up to me. We must be brave or be a slave.
Yeah, we must be brave or be a slave. And that's true. It really is. And in that song I referenced in 2 Timothy chapter 3, and I might as well share it with you, it says, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection." Truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning, and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. It's so true. I mean, that's what's going on right now. Everything is deception. And I have to ask, how long can a system that depends upon deception and lies, manipulation, okay, how long can a system of that survive? I contend that it's unsustainable. Eventually, and I said this 30 years ago, we either need to have a knockdown, drag-em-out revolution, or we're going to end up having to wait until it collapses under the weight of its own corruption. And I think that's what we're seeing now. I think that's exactly what we're witnessing. It's like watching a massive train wreck in super slow-mo. Now, I don't know how it's all going to pan out, but I do know that we're going to have to go through some very difficult times because the powers that be, the dark forces, the deep state, the evil ones that have been basically running everything, and I don't think anybody can disagree with the fact that there is just absolute evil running the entire world right now. And it's all based upon, ego and pride and self-gratification, etc., etc. And the whole system has got to collapse. I just don't see it happening any other way. Now, hopefully, those of us who have our brains screwed on we can make it through this difficult transition. And it's not going to be easy, folks. Like I said, the powers that be, they're not going to go down without taking a fight. I mean, that's what Israel's Samson option is all about. If we can't have it our way, nobody's going to have it their way either. And it'll destroy the entire world. Well, unfortunately, it's looking more like that's, it's not so much of a fantasy. Anyway, I'm curious to know what it is that woke you up. I figured I'd take this day, Friday, and make it Open Lines Friday. So if you want to call in, I'll get you right on the air. 215-867-8255. And by the way, I just want to remind you that this broadcast, the WTF Reports, are brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. Now, if you haven't already checked it out, I implore that you do so, because it's based upon Rife technology, which, of course, Royal Raymond Rife was right along the same lines as Nikola Tesla. Tesla said frequency is everything, and Royal Rife proved it. And that's why there are folks out there with Rife machines, and there are machines out there that generate certain frequencies, and people are starting to realize that, yeah, these frequencies are really important. I mean, that's why they had, these Himalayan singing bowls. Yeah, there's a lot to that. And there's a lot to the idea that all the massive bells that used to be all over Europe in the churches and synagogues, et cetera, they were all taken down. Why were they taken down? Because they were healing. They let off frequencies that were beneficial. So, and this is why the powers that be basically had to get rid of all that stuff, thanks to the Rockefeller mentality. But anyway, what is it that woke you up? Well, in my own personal experience is way back in the 80s, and I got to be honest with you, I was no Beatle maniac, but I did enjoy the music of the Beatles, and I understood the influence that their music had, not just on Western culture, but culture all over the world. And I've mentioned it before, when the Beatles did All You Need Is Love, it was broadcast all over the world. And people who didn't even know the English language, they knew the lyrics to the song. They might not know what the lyrics said, but they sang along. Everybody, well, not the whole world, but a huge portion of it. I mean, and this is something that had never happened before. No religious or political leader had ever had the ear of so many people on this planet. And that represented a real threat to their power structure. And this is why I believe that they had to take out John Lennon when he decided to come out of his self-imposed hiatus and retirement. But anyway, that's a whole nother story altogether. But the point is, though, is that, everybody has something that happened to them that woke them up. And it just so happened to be a book that I read, and it was called Who Killed John Lennon, written by Fenton Bresler. And it was all about Mark David Chapman and how he was a product of the MK Ultra project. Yeah, the CIA. And that Mark David Chapman was basically programmed to kill John Lennon. And I said, whoa, wait a second, what is this MK Ultra? I never heard of that before. And then, of course, the X-Files came out on TV, and they started talking about all this MK Ultra. Oh, I see, it's all conspiracy theory. No, actually, do a little research, you find out that, yes, it was a very real project. And that was something that really made my head cock to one side and go, huh? So, and then shortly after that was the first Gulf War. And at the time, I was a staff announcer for WTNH Channel 8. Hey, Husky fans, you've got a front row seat of all the action of Big East basketball. Tonight is UConn meets Villanova, right here on WTNH Channel 8. That's what I used to do, And when I was working at Channel 8 in New Haven, that was during the first Gulf War. And in the afternoon, they were sending back what they call B-roll. It's just video with no audio. And they had all this video footage of tanks and guns and stuff like that. And this one particular video clip where our bulldozers dozing bodies into a common grave, into a pit. I said, oh my gosh. And behind it was apartment buildings and playgrounds. And, of course, that night on ABC News, ABC World News Tonight. More Americans get their news from ABC than any other source. And now, Peter Jennings. Well, the bombings continued in Baghdad today, but, of course, there were no civilian casualties because America's using smart bombs. I said, what? I just saw this stuff with my own eyes. What do you mean there were no civilian casualties? I just saw bodies being dozed into a pit, and I knew they were lying then. And that was a big wake-up call for me. And another one, and that's sort of what motivated me to become a talk show host. Because as far as I'm concerned, and this is on the liner notes of my first album, I said, if you become aware of a lie and you do nothing to expose the lie, you become part of the lie. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be linked with those who are lying. If I hear a lie, I'm going to do the best I can to get it out there. So that's what inspired me, along with Ezekiel chapter 33, to start blowing the trumpet, warning the people. And I have no choice. You either stand in the light or you hide in the darkness. I don't have much of a choice in that. So that's what prompted me to become a talk show host. And then, of course, in the first year of that, I was at WATR AM 1320 in Waterbury, Connecticut, and that was right around the time of the Oklahoma City bombing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Oklahoma City bombing. Y'all remember that one, don't you? Sure you do. But anyway, while the rest of the world was listening to the O.J. Simpson updates every 15 minutes, on my radio show, I said, if you're looking for an O.J. update, turn the dial. Go to another radio station. I don't want your listenership. We have innocent men, women, and children who were blown to pieces in Oklahoma City, and y'all are more interested in following a white Bronco? I said, seriously? But anyway, that's how I basically, cut my eye teeth in talk radio. And that's also how I met a lot of very interesting people. I mean, during that period of time, I interviewed Bill Cooper. Yes, William Cooper. And Representative Charles Keyes from Oklahoma. Anthony Hilder, rest his soul. Ted Gunderson, rest his soul. But, while everybody else was talking about the O.J. Simpson, I was talking about the Oklahoma City bombing and how we were lied to about that. And again, if you if you become aware of a lie and you do nothing to expose the lie, you become part of the lie. And I saw and heard with my own eyes the lies that were being thrown out there right after the Oklahoma City bombing. Because it didn't have anything to do with a truck bomb, a Ryder truck, Timothy McVeigh, Terry Nichols, John Doe, number 2, I think they call it, number 2, number 1, whatever, John Doe. That was all a concoction. It was all a fabrication. It came after the fact. When the news crews first got on the scene in Oklahoma City, right after the Murrah building was exploded, you did get a chance to hear the truth. And there was nothing there about a truck bomb. No. I'm going to play a song for you because what I did is I took all the audio from the news networks, the local affiliate stations in Oklahoma City bombing, and they were telling the truth. They were bringing in bomb trucks to defuse the bombs, plural, that they had retrieved from inside the building. What, you say? Bombs inside the Murrah building? But I thought it was a truck bomb. Well, that's because what the networks told you after they got there. And the FBI, they massaged and manipulated and fabricated information so you wouldn't know what really happened. Anyway, this is a song that it was going to go on the first album, but I held off on that. This came out on the second album, Music to Die For. And if you listen carefully, you'll hear all of the original newscasts about what happened in Oklahoma City. These are events that woke me up, and I want to know what it is that woke you up. 215-867-8255. Here's a song called Okay. Can you see? Okay meaning Oklahoma. Here it is.
In Oklahoma City, one fateful April day, the lives of many innocents were taken all away. At first the truth was broadcast for all the state to hear.
I think he said another bomb.
Oh my God, another bomb.
People ran in fear. The helicopter fly by. The crater wasn't there. Sophisticated bombs were found, but vanished in thin air. An artist drew a picture of how the crater's supposed to be. They published it in Newsweek for all the world to see. The story of a car bomb soon became a minivan, but they settled on a Ryder truck as they devised their plan. The seismograph in Norman recorded 2 events, but it never was reported. This cover-up is immense.
A second bomb was found on the east side of that building. A bomb squad is on the scene. That second bomb has not exploded. We don't know quite the status yet if they've managed to defuse it, but it has been confirmed that a second bomb was found on the east side of that building.
So apparently they're going to try to get out that third bomb that's been talked about.
The networks joined the cover-up. Now they're part of the crime. Tom Brokaw, Peter Jennings, and Dan Rather should do time. I ask you, OK City, how could you let them tell those lies? Were you too scared to take a stand? Were you deaf to all those cries? You claim to love your country, but refuse to get involved. And until you open up your mouth, this crime just won't be solved.
In fact, what we were told at the scene a few minutes ago was that, in fact, 2 different explosive devices were found in addition to the one that went off.
So a total of 3.
A total of 3, and of course then there was mass confusion.
The second explosive was found and defused. The third explosive that was found, and they are working on right now as we speak, I understand, both the second and third explosives, if you can imagine this, were larger than the first.
This is the work of a sophisticated group. This is a very sophisticated device, and it has to have been done by an explosives expert.
We actually have got defused bombs.
If our government was truthful and had nothing there to hide, then why were these reports ignored and quickly pushed aside? They said it was those patriots. Militias took the blame to discredit those who tell the truth. That's how they play that game. Then they destroyed the evidence to let the memory decay and quickly pass a terrorist bill to take your rights away.
Keating, Governor Frank Keating.
The reports I have is that one device was deactivated. Apparently there's another device, and obviously whatever did the damage to the Murrah building was a tremendous, very sophisticated explosive device.
America, wake up.
Are there any circumstances under which an individual is justified to blow up any building?
After you've evacuated it and you wanted to cover up the evidence.
Yeah, that's about the size of it. Yeah, there were a lot of very important files that were in that building. Yeah, and they link Hillary Clinton to a whole bunch of nefarious activities. Anyway, that said, this is one of the songs that I wrote about the lies. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't have a choice. I have to, when you, like I said, when you become aware of a lie, if you do nothing to expose the lie, you become part of the lie. And if you'd like to support the efforts here at the WTF Reports, I ask that you do business with our sponsors.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get more tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Don't forget the word the, T-H-E, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and it'll take you down to a section where you can check out Get More Tank. At their website, they have all the technical information, how it works, why it works, and why it's good for your vehicle. And depending upon what your make, model, and year of your vehicle is, you're going to get anywhere between 15 and 20% better mileage after using this product for a little while. So, hey, look at it. If the cost is $22.22, but you get 10% off with the promo code RedPill101. So that costs you $20. You get 5 tablets, 1 for each tank of gas. And on the 5th tank, it works out. If you're getting 20% better mileage, that tank is free. Do the math. That's a win-win situation, folks. So, yeah, seriously, if you want your car to run or your truck to run better, and by the way, it works real well in diesel engines as well. So, if you'd like to benefit from this product, and this is why I wholly support it and have it as a sponsor of this broadcast, go to TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and get more tank. All right, that said, we have, I think we can all agree, like the song just said, I think we all know we've been lied to through the years. Events confirm our darkest fears. And again, that song was almost 30 years ago. So, and it stands today like it did then. And as a matter of fact, I want to take I want to take us back to the early 90s. I believe this was in 1993. You remember Paul Harvey? I don't know, some of you may not remember Paul Harvey, but he was an absolute gem of an orator and a speaker and a broadcaster. Hello, Americans. Stand by for news. I don't know if you remember him doing that. But anyway, Paul Harvey had this to say in regard to climate change. Yeah, going back over 30 years, this is what Paul Harvey had to say about climate change.
Goes by, but what some researcher tries to scare us or trick us out of research money by claiming that the sky is falling. And with the willing complicity of headline-hungry media, a recent crisis of the month had to do with global warming. An ozone hole is opening up over the United States, we were told, the effects of which were already measurable in an increase in skin cancer. On the contrary, destroying chlorine around the polar vortex has been declining since January. A major objective of a recent shuttle mission was to determine the scope and scale of the so-called ozone hole, and the silence since has been deafening from those whose livelihood depends on creating crises. Recent data from the upper atmosphere research satellites affirms that any problem is less, it's not greater. Ozone levels fluctuate all of the time, partly because of volcanic activity and solar flares. But MIT's technology review has made an exhaustive study of worldwide ocean temperatures since 1851, has concluded that there appears to have been little or no global warming over the past century. In fact, the net rise in world surface temperature during the last century, which was about 1%, almost all occurred before 1940, and that was before aerosols, and that has since been reversed. Former NASA chief Robert Jastrow and former Scripps director William Nierenberg, past president of the American Academy of Sciences, Frederick Seitz, all have concluded in a scathing rebuke of those who make money by predicting global warming, quote, if we allow ourselves to be influenced by press release, we could spend $1 trillion over the next decade destroying what's left of the American economy.
Yeah, what's left of the American economy. Sorry about the end of that clip getting cut off there, but anyway, that was Paul Harvey over 30 years ago. And, of course, you know, the global warming, environmentalists out there, they want to shut down every form of energy. And I agree with them. Eventually, what we've got rolling in this country and in this world, eventually, petroleum products, natural gas, nuclear, all that stuff is going to crumble and go the way of the dodo bird when they finally, once and for all, release the hidden technology. The zero-point energy, the Meyer technology, the magnet motors. I mean, there's so many alternative energy sources out there. But the powers that be, with the Rockefeller mentality, that's, John D. Rockefeller's motto was, competition is sin. And, you got to wipe out anything that's going to threaten your business and your pocket and your profits. And that's the mentality, and that's why all this technology has been suppressed for, so many years. And as a matter of fact, there's a documentary out there. It's called The Lost Century, and it was produced by Dr. Stephen Greer. Yeah, that's Stephen Greer, the one that's been screaming about, alien technology and UFOs and stuff. It doesn't make any difference how you feel about that. But the simple fact of the matter is that, yes, we do know that there are all kinds of technologies that have been suppressed and basically deep-sixed by the powers that be because they like their power structure. Now, eventually, this technology is going to have to be released. It has to. But as I was saying earlier in this broadcast, the deep state, the powers that be, they're not going to go down without a fight. They love their control and they love their money. It's all about power and profits. It's not about people or progress, or prosperity. Yeah, they want absolute control. And so you've just heard what Paul Harvey had to say in regard to global warming. Well, there's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Patrick Moore. Dr. Patrick Moore, and I'll play that clip after we take this call. Okay, we got a caller there. Who do we have, and where are you calling from? Welcome to the program.
Guess who, Carolyn?
Oh, hello, Carolyn.
What a question you posed. Bringing up Rockefeller, these people in general, I think I heard a statement that of what you just mentioned. It's like almost like a jealous lover that, how they'll say, if I can't have her, nobody can,
right,
kind of mentality, which I really do believe is very true. I didn't know about this with Israel, but you are so educational. You posed a good question. I don't know when the light bulb went on for me. I think I just was maybe as a teenager suspicious of authority. I don't know, but I think it was around Rockefeller. It was health, health and fitness, and versus the allopathic medicine. And I learned that when I found out that the Rockefellers are what changed the colleges and our way of preventative medicine.
Mm-hmm.
What he did, he corrupted with his money our whole health system. And so that's, I think, when I really started to become more aware. There was a book called Racketeering in Medicine, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't always follow, but I remember listening to like Michael Savage, and I hear things and it just would ring true to me. So I think it's also some kind of inner wisdom of sorts of recognizing, kind of in a lot of ways, the truth when you see it or when you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, wait a second, or recognizing, as you mentioned, that when it's not true, like on 9/11, I want to see your documentary on those. I'd like to get a list of all that you're mentioning, like the technologies that they're holding back from us, which is, you talk about the Nuremberg law. I mean, talk about crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think that's almost like the ultimate? Is that they're withholding our very existence in their hands for their greed? It's unfathomable, really. So I would just say, there was an inner knowing, and the healthcare really opened my eyes, and then I just kept my eyes basically open. And I mean, even with the 9/11, I remember looking at the screen when Bush just happened to be in a little classroom, and he was so surprised. He suddenly had to leave the room. It was important business. I just went, that's bullshit. I could just tell. So those are my thoughts. I'm going to listen in. But
that's really interesting. Well, let me ask you, have you seen either the documentaries that I produced, the 9/11 in Plain Sight?
No, I want to. I have to. I heard somebody, like you said, was capitalizing on it, and it kind of made me upset. I thought, well, give Dave a cut here. Come on, we got to support his show. So,
well, I'll tell you what. If you go to my other website, DaveVonKleist.com. VonKleist, DaveVonKleist.com, and there's a link there to the 9/11 information, and you can watch either one of the two documentaries on 9/11 that I produced. The first one was 9/11 in Plain Sight, and that was in 2004 that I released that. And then, as that went viral all over the world, I was being contacted by people in the military that I used to know back in the 90s when I was with Joyce, and we were the American Gulf War Veterans Association, and we were rubbing elbows with military and law enforcement and congressmen and senators, and they started to contact me and said, hey, Dave, that documentary you just made is raising a lot of eyebrows. You're asking some serious questions. And I said, yeah, I'm asking questions that some people don't want asked, let alone answered. Would you like to talk about it? And they said, sure. So that's how I started the production of the 9/11 Ripple Effect Project. And I talked to Colonel George Nelson. I talked to General Albert Stubblebine. I talked to Russ Wittenberg, who was a pilot for United Airlines, who was scheduled to be on that flight, but he was out that day. And put together the second documentary, which is called 9/11 Ripple Effect. So you can go to my website, DaveVonKleist.com, and click on the 9/11 button, and you can watch both of the documentaries. They're right there, free for your viewing pleasure. So anyway.
Well, I'm glad they didn't come after you yet. I mean, you see a lot of the people. That was another pattern, when the people, including the doctors that were curing cancer, by the way. I mean, Laetrile was this is going to go back to the health thing, but they illegalized an apricot pit.
Yeah, the apricot bits. Yeah.
I mean, come on. So yeah, but my eyes are shockingly, just so wide open. It's. I mean, you've really helped open up my eyes. I mean, I've heard, I listened to different things, but you really pulled it together. I'd love to find out more about the technology that they're withholding too.
Oh yeah,
I agree with you.
Well, it's interesting that what woke you up had to do with health issues. Now, for different people, that's why I was asking the question. For me, it was reading that book I was mentioning a little while ago by Fenton Bresler about the MK Ultra project and how Mark David Chapman was a product of that effort. And that's why he assassinated John Lennon. And that was, that was back in the late 80s when I read that. And then when I was, like I said earlier, when I worked at WTNH and I saw the video footage from the first Gulf War and then listened to the media lie through their teeth about it. And that just set my butt on fire. So, I mean, those are some of the things that woke me up. Now, I know that there are some folks out there that the 9/11 issue woke them up. Okay, everybody's, had a certain event in their life that made them more aware of what was going on in this world. And that's why I was asking the question. So for you, it was the medical, shall we say, subterfuge and BS that they were throwing out at us.
I think I was living in Santa Cruz, and I became more aware of health. And one of my family members was an MD, and I always was bumping heads with him, about my mother. And so it just, it was a process for me. I just remember around 18 years old, had some weird revelation that I remember thinking to myself, I'll never forget it. I just remember walking and just saying, God, I can't believe I'm in the last days. So I'm not sure what triggered that. It was just like, I don't know, just observing and now look at now. Now it's really becoming obvious. So thank you for your show. This is one of the best. I mean, you are so. Remember that other caller that complimented you? So I've doubled down on that compliment. Also, because your music is so applicable, I just really think that it should be. You should also be discovered for that as well. So I'll do my best. I'm going to try to figure out a way to get some kind of brochure or cards or something to list your channel on them, have a couple of websites on there, something. There's got to be something I could do just to go here, pass it out, people that I meet or talk to, because people are open. The younger crowd, too.
Yeah.
So thanks for your show. Again, I don't want to keep talking. I'll just
That's all right, Carolyn.
Kathy.
I appreciate the call, and I do want to let everybody know that I'm not in it for the money or the accolades or the ego stroke. I've never been into that at all. It's distasteful to me. And there are people out there that are selling my music on YouTube. I mean, on eBay. More power to them. I'm not selling it. They're out there selling it. If they can make money on it, fine. I don't care about the money. It's about the message. That's what it's all about. And
I know, but we need to support your message, though. That's the thing. It's like you're not, you're the opposite of what has destroyed this world, as far as I'm concerned so far.
Yep.
You're the opposite of that.
You
do need support. If I could possibly find a way to fund you, I know you've got your GoFundMe, but I wish there was maybe I could be a better voice somehow. Maybe we could talk about it.
I appreciate that.
Email, right? You have an email?
Yeah. You can email me through the website, or you can go to davevonKleist@gmail.com. You can drop me a line there if you like. But that's like I said, I'm not in it for the money. I never have been. And that's why people are out there selling my stuff. Fine, let them do it. People out there selling. As a matter of fact, I went to Amazon and I looked up 9/11. Excuse me, 9/11 in plain sight. That's my first documentary, and they're selling it out there. I mean,
that's what you said.
I don't know who's selling it.
They're getting it out.
I
know it's great.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
I loved your attitude. Yeah, you didn't even get mad. You were like, "Hey, wait a minute." You were like, "No, get the message out."
Yeah,
it's got to be. I know.
Yeah. So if you want to support, hey, listen, buy a coffee cup. Buy go to the website, the WTF Reports. Buy a T-shirt. Buy a coffee cup. Buy a baseball. The trucker's cap. I can pass those out. Huh? Yeah.
I'm going to get my watch. Today. I think I've been meaning to order it since you talked to me about it.
Yeah. Well, we've also got a T-shirt with the three magic words. What are they?
Bribery, coercion,
bribery,
blackmail,
coercion, and blackmail.
Yeah, that's the T-shirt that we just got out there. So if you want, that's how you can support us. So buy a coffee cup and a cap and a T-shirt and. And if you want to contribute with the GoFundMe, that's fine too. But I'm not out there to make a ton of money. We're trying to save the country here.
I know. I just wish that there was a way that we could do more of a mass marketing or some. I don't know, just a way to really get. I'm gonna have to make up cards or something so I can pass it out. Like, check this guy out, because I meet people. I'm a talker. Mm-hmm. I think it's also to your original question is that I'm very observant. And I read people. So if I hear something or I see something, I generally could recognize that, like, wait a second, what the heck? Like, it just doesn't like you might say, it doesn't smell right. Something that's fishy.
Yeah, right. Well, that's why I tell people, don't believe me. Don't believe anything I say. Just do your own research. Get off your butt and do some research, and you'll find it for yourself. So anyway, Carolyn.
Okay, I'll try to get a hold of you. I'll reach out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the call, Carolyn. I appreciate it. Okay. 215-867-8255. Again, that's 215-867-8255. Now, before we went to the call, I just played an audio clip from the late, great Paul Harvey in regard to this subterfuge, this horse hockey having to do with climate change. They've been screaming about this. Oh, yeah, the ice is going to be on. The Arctic ice will be gone in 4 years. Oh, the Arctic ice will be gone in 2 years. And yet it hasn't. As a matter of fact, they don't want to talk about it, but the ice has actually increased over the past year. So all this stuff about climate change, this is all about taxation and control. As a matter of fact, this audio clip here that I'm playing is from the Greenpeace co-founder. His name is Dr. Patrick Moore. And he basically says there's no definitive scientific proof that carbon dioxide is responsible for any of the slight warming of the global climate that has occurred during the last 300 years. And I remember when I was in school, I was taught that plants breathe carbon dioxide and they produce oxygen as a byproduct. Now, we mammals, we breathe oxygen and let off carbon dioxide. So we've got this mutually beneficial relationship between animal life and fauna. And it's a good thing. Okay? But like I said, this whole thing about the global warming, well, I'll tell you what, listen to what Dr. Patrick Moore had to say. Here it is.
As I've stated publicly on many occasions, there is no definitive scientific proof through real-world observation that carbon dioxide is responsible for any of the slight warming of the global climate that has occurred during the last 300 years since the peak of the Little Ice Age. If there were such a proof, through testing and replication, it would have been written down for all of us to see. The contention that human emissions are now the dominant influence on climate is simply a hypothesis, rather than a universally accepted scientific theory. It is therefore correct, indeed, verging on the compulsory in the scientific tradition, to be skeptical of those who express certainty that the science is settled and the debate is over. But there is certainty beyond a reasonable doubt that CO2 is the building block for all life on Earth, and that without its presence in the global atmosphere at sufficient concentration, this would be a dead planet. Yet today our children and our publics are taught that CO2 is a toxic pollutant that will destroy life and bring civilization to its knees.
Yeah, that's what they're teaching us. They're liars. They are absolute liars. And I'm sorry, I know some, very close friends and family members that have bought into this whole climate change thing. And remember, this is being promulgated or promoted by the WHO and the World Economic Forum so that they can tax the crap out of the entire world, take control of all of our industry, tell you what you can and can't eat, when you can go, where you can go, when you can go, where you can't go. It's all about control. And they would have you believe that cow farts are going to destroy the planet. And it's cows. We have to get rid of all the cows, get rid of all those farmers. Folks, this is their plan for basically controlling the entire world. That's what Project 2030 is all about. And it all hinges on this climate control narrative. And it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And the more you do some research, you find out how wrong it really is. Anyway, we got a few minutes left. I can squeeze in a caller if you want to call in, 215-867-8255. And yes, I appreciate your kind words, Carolyn, about the music, and which is why, oh, there we go. I was going to play a song, but no, I'll hold off on that. Callers always come first. Okay, welcome, caller, to the broadcast. Who are you and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the state of Ohio, and my first name is Jim.
Jim, is this you're a first-time caller, aren't you?
That's correct, sir.
All
yes,
right. Where's my whistle? Welcome to the show. What have you got for me today?
Well, I do have my Wave Watch for about 2 weeks, so congratulations. I heard that through your advertisements, and so,
excellent.
Yes, I did purchase one.
Excellent, and I hope you give it some time. You're going to notice it'll be a tremendous help. Go ahead.
And so I called because you were talking about when a person woke up. So I will give God credit for waking me up when my dearest time, when I was in distraught drugs and alcoholism, and he saved me back in 1979. But that's going too far back, and many questions you're asking. Maybe it was through Rush Limbaugh's show that I started watching him. And when his passing, I needed a new source for information.
Mm-hmm.
And that led me to the Red State Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an avid fan of radio listening, and I'm listening to your show as well. So I come across other issues called the Rules of Evil, a book I have been read by F. Tupper Saucy.
Oh, yeah. Tupper Saucy, yeah.
And that's a great book I've been studying. And then the Creatures from Jekyll Island. And
oh, yeah.
I'm reading about
G.W. Griffith,
history, Reformation. Yep. It's all this due to the fact of listening to the radio and its ministry and waking me up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I'm getting it through, and giving credit for like you will speak out and other talk show radio hosts that keeps putting a little light in my eyes. I kept wanting to follow.
Uh-huh.
And even also goes back to studying the Constitution, a 12-week program, the American View, which is out there, to studying the Constitution and what our forefathers used in their education and building that document and the Constitutions, our Bill of Rights, which led me to want to know what my forefathers was understanding about liberty and freedom, and knowing about their background. So I do a little bit research. I think Chris Pinto or Adalem Films have some great films over our history and going back to the Dark Ages, and a bit of study in the book of Revelations and the book of Daniel at the same time. There's a lot of good commentaries. Now that makes me a different believer about this futurism, about a rapture and this 7 years of trial and tribulations and then the millennial. I see it as a history in the making. I don't think God took the 69 week and then skipping the big gap between it to the 70th week where you get to the rapture and then beginning of the 7-year period. I think God never did forget us from the beginning. I think that the last apostle that was still living, that was discipled unto Jesus Christ, it was the Apostle John that was in prison on the island. And then he saw a revelation from God. And then when he was released after Demetrius' death, he went back to his home church. And, he was the minister of all the 7 churches that are mentioned in Revelations. And his Revelations was written by his people that was discipling. And then that message of the gospel got out. It's only that when it got into Rome, it got into a little bit more of the heretics and worshiping other saints and stuff and greed. And they started off as good gospel people, but it got corrupt. And then when you start, what we're missing is those dark ages, between the period of Constantine and all the way up through the 17th century, and what our fathers knew. That went to the Declaration. That is not being taught today. And, it all leads up to the, one world government and our one world religion. And another book that I thought that's of interest to me too, that I would like to share, it's called The Pandora Box. And that has to be a study of the Pacers, Lawrence C. Pacer, who was, a royalty from France. And because the overrunning of wars, his mother had him and father had him shipped to North Carolina. And with all the royalties, they started the Charleston, Cincinnati, Baltimore Railroad. So if you want to know where all the money's come from, that's be also this Rothschilds. You just study the L.C. Pacers.
Wow, I'm proud of you. Well, you've been doing some reading and some studying and some getting yourself learned up there. That's a good deal. Hey, listen, we're just about out of time here. I thank you for the call, and that's going to wrap it up for today's broadcast. Thank you so much, and I hope that you'll call in again. God bless you.
And I pray that people will follow up. God bless you too, brother.
All right, you be well. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's installment of the WTF Reports. I sincerely hope that you're enjoying the what's the word I'm looking for? The flavor, the ambiance, the flora of this radio show. And if you are, please spread the word. Tell your friends and folks about it, And in the meantime, yes, we appreciate your support. So visit our website, the WTF Reports. Do business with our sponsors. Get yourself a T-shirt or a cap or a coffee mug or maybe one of those T-shirts with those 3 magic words on it. All right, that said, the weekend is upon us. So all of you out there, please stay safe, stay free. God bless you all, and I will see you on Monday. Cheers, everybody.
Anymore.